here we go, the 84th country, Georgia. So I took a night train from Baku to Tbilisi, and then I was doing couchsurfing in Tbilisi. But the address my host gave to me seems a little bit confused, so I found a little bit challenging to find the place, but eventually I sorted it out. My host in Tbilisi was from Italy. He works in Tbilisi, and he shared the room, and he shared the apartment with another Italian and a German flatmates. And they offered me to sleep in a big sofa bed in the living room, which was very comfortable. And I cooked for them, and then we both agreed, the Georgian people seems a little bit rude in our perception due to our own experience in Georgia. And I went to the silver bath, which was like a public shower place, and there were a lot of elderly local women inside. I think it's a very good value for your money, but the ticket officer was shouting on me due to the language barrier. And then I went to sightseeing, walked around, and then saw a so-called Chinese and Indian restaurant. I came into the restaurant and tried to get some food, but the owner told me the chef was on holiday, so no food available. So the boss was a local, and then he offered me the local Georgian wine and Georgian bun to taste. And after that, he even offered me a lift to the cable car station. And so after that, I took the cable car, went to the mountain top, get to see the whole city view of Tbilisi. Next day, I took a minibus to a nearby small town for sightseeing, recommended by my host. And after spent a few days in Tbilisi, I went to Armenia first. So when I came back from Armenia to Tbilisi, I stayed in a guest house for a few days, and after that I took an overnight train to Batumi. In Batumi, I was also doing couchsurfing. My host was a Russian, and he stayed in a service apartment with his Russian girlfriend. They offered me a small bed to use in the same room, so both of us had limited privacy. And during my time in Batumi, most of the time was raining, so during the raining days we shared meals. In total, we shared 6 meals together, cooked by 3 of us, take turn. And when it's not raining, I walked by the seaside of Batumi to admire some arty stuff where you can find it by the seaside. And after Batumi, I took a minibus via Zugadidi to Mestia. And then when I arrived at the guest house, I didn't find the owner, and there's a Chinese guy I found in the guest house. He offered me some assistance, and the guest house owner told me it was full, but the Chinese guy stayed in a room with 2 beds, so he didn't mind to share the room with me. So I shared the room with him, and the next day we accompanied each other to hike. And I didn't hike for so long, so I found a little bit tired, but I never give up. So when we made it to the mountain top, the weather just suddenly changed. So immediately we have to make our journey back. We slid when we trying to go down. And then we had fun because there was snow, so we can slide. And then we also got lost, but eventually we sorted it out. So after 8 hours hiking, we came back to our guest house. We bought some ingredients to cook. And then so I was the one for cooking, and my teammate was the one who is for dishwashing. The next day, I really want to rest a little bit, but still we went to Wushuguli. The road was so rough, and when we arrived, we were amazed by the nature there. It was lovely, but on the ground it's full of like cow shit everywhere. Since the previous day during hiking, I got snow in my shoes, so my shoes was wet, so I went to Ushuguli with my slipper. So due to the condition in Ushuguli, every time when I walk I have to be very careful because there was shit everywhere. It's really nature place. So after lunch we walked around to enjoy the nature. We saw mini pigs running by the farms. The farmers were doing their jobs, and then we were even get to talk to the farmers. They offered us like homemade wine, and it was a lovely place, but we didn't stay there. And on the same day we made our way back to Mestia, and that day another Chinese cyclist joined us because he was my roommate's friend. And three of us, we just went to grocery shopping, went to the market, and then bought the ingredients. We cooked like Chinese food, and then we did a little bit gathering. The next day, the cyclist guy just cooked us breakfast, and after that, I'm going to Abkhazia. My roommate is going to Batumi. So I took a shared taxi to Gali after entered into Abkhazia, and then I need to wait for the minibus to Sukhumi, since I wanted to make my way to Sukhumi a little bit earlier. So I tried to hitchhike instead of waiting for the bus. A man stopped and he didn't speak any English, and then so I get into his car, and after that he stopped again in an intersection just outside of a shop. And then he took out from his car, like there is a condom, and then point out on the condom. And then I was so scared, so I left the car. And then after that, I came to the shop and I used the Google Translator to show the woman inside the shop that I wanted to go to Sukhumi. She asked me to wait, so eventually I bought on the bus to Sukhumi. And then when I arrived at Sukhumi, it was getting late, getting dark. And then so I had no option. I just hitchhiked to my guest house, and then a family car just offered me a lift and then dropped me just in front of my guest house. So in the beginning days during my time in Abkhazia, I was just rested for most of the time because I feel so exhausted after hiking in Mestia. And after that, I joined a local Russian day tour in Abkhazia, which was recommended by a Russian girl I met in my guest house. So the day tour was arranged, booking by the guest house owner. I get to see the nature, get to see the waterfalls and how they make the honey, the cheese in Abkhazia. After spending days in Abkhazia, I made my way back to Georgia. So I went to Kutaisi because I got a departure flight to the Baltic area from Kutaisi. And then I was doing couch surfing there. My host was a Kurdish. It was my very first time to be hosted by someone who is Kurdish. And he was very kind. He treated me food in local restaurant. He drove me around to show me the city, and I cooked for him as well for Chinese food. He really enjoyed it. And then on the day of my departure flight, he just dropped me to the airport before he went to work. So I feel so grateful for his assistance, and then that's like the ending trip of my Caucasus trips. After that, I'm heading to the Baltic area from here. While waiting for my flight, I just cooked myself a porridge in the airport with my mini rice cooker. That was really funny. And thank you very much for listening. The next coming episode, that will be Lithuania. Thank you once again for listening. I will catch you up with the next coming episode. Bye for now.